We have a long history. For almost 90 years, America's Corps have helped build our parks, restore our lands, and strengthen our country. Over the past 5 years alone, Corps improved the efficiency of over 20,000 homes and public buildings. We built or restored over 67,000 miles of trails. We treated 676,000 acres of invasive species. We removed fire fuels and conducted prescribed burns. We helped countless young leaders find their strength. We restored nearly 3 million acres of habitat and planted over 3.6 million trees. From cities to the coast to the mountains. We are on the front lines of climate change. Over the decades, Corps programs have inspired millions of young Americans. As our country looks to build a national civilian climate corps, we don't have to look far. We are the Civilian Climate Corps. Let's build from strength and experience. The CCC never really went away. It got better.
Hello and welcome to the Core Network's 2022 virtual conference. To get myself together here, we are coming to you live from our TCN studios located downtown Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. And we'd like to thank you for joining us for the Civilian Climate Corps, a CCC for a new generation. I'm Marie Walker, the COO at the Core Network, and I'll be your conference MC. And hey, you're stuck with me for the next 3 days. We're excited to bring together Corps staff, Corps members, and Corps partners from across the country. Last year, we took a bit of a leap going virtual, and by goodness, it paid off big time. We saw the highest number of folks to register in the history of having Core Network conferences. We hope to build on that success in celebrating how a virtual event allows us to bring together attendees and presenters who wouldn't necessarily be able to attend in person. This year's event will feature over 40 sessions covering topics such as climate resiliency, career pathways, and inspirational leadership, and how to keep Corps members motivated in less than ideal field conditions. We also want to have a little bit of fun. And with our virtual conference, we've got games later on today, tomorrow. We've got morning yoga coming up, I think tomorrow morning, and a few contests that I'll tell you about in just a few minutes. I hope that you will explore our new conference platform where you can check out videos from the Action Summit, which was held here in Washington, D.C. a few weeks ago. And you can also visit with attendees to the conference by going into the conference lounge. We have a lot of exciting content over the next few days, and it all ties back to this year's theme. We are the Civilian Climate Corps, a CCC for a new generation. Our movement has been convening for over 35 years, but right now the energy feels just a little bit different. We've had some highs and some lows over the past year, but it's hard to deny that we are more relevant than we've ever been, and we are closing in on seeing generational investment in Corps work. However, we are not wanting to or wait around for and hoping and dreaming for the passage of the CCC. You, the 140 plus corps and over 20,000 Corps members across the country, are out in your communities every day, already doing the work of the Civilian Climate Corps, protecting neighborhoods from wildfire, transforming infrastructure into your cities and public lands, building housing and unhoused, and helping Corps members achieve their goals as the community members and leaders that we want them to become. We may not have billions of dollars, or we may not have a line item in the budget, but we're doing the work, and we are the CCC for a new generation. So let's continue to show that these programs create transformative change and that young people and communities they serve, because we set the example for what can be accomplished by funding the CCC. The success of our movement would not be possible without visionary Corps leaders and Corps members. So let us take just a few moments to remember some of those leaders and Corps members that we've lost. And one loss that we had a few weeks ago, Dion Wright, who was the Deputy Executive Director of Civic Works, and he was also a member of the Corps Network Council. Let us take a moment just to remember those that we have lost. Thank you all. We know that we are a better community because of the people who have worked with us, and we're looking forward to moving forward and to going ahead. So next, we're going to take some time to recognize and celebrate Corps and their great accomplishments over the past year with Project of the Year and Corps Member of the Year awards. The Corps Network's Project of the Year award celebrates the meaningful service and life-changing experiences that Corps provides for the communities and its Corps members. The 2022 winning projects highlight the essential Corps role and roles that Corps play that receive proper government investment, develop sound internal operations, and respect the power and struggle inherent in their Corps members' experiences. Our first Project of the Year honors the efforts of Los Angeles Conservation Corps, San Jose Conservation Corps, and Civic Corps. Talk about those folks out in California doing things together. These three conservation corps partnered with local government, social service agencies, and the Seattle-based company Pallet to build their tiny home shelters for people experiencing homelessness. The company Pallet manufactures and ships shelter panels to different locations where the Corps then assemble the pieces to construct the shelters into villages. After they've built, the villages are managed by a partner nonprofit where they provide case management and barrier removal services to the occupants. Corps members not only get to provide a valuable resource to the many people in their communities, but they also have developed skills in construction, time management, and guess what? Teamwork. The staff, they know what teamwork means. Teamwork makes the dream work. But last year in California, 62 Corps members across those three corps worked together to build more than 960 pallet shelters. Let's see a little bit more about pallet partnerships.
Pallet is a social purpose company that builds safe and dignified shelter communities for people experiencing homelessness. We've created thousands of beds across America. We're grateful for partners like the Conservation Corps and very aligned missions. We both work to empower people with meaningful job training for construction trades and other important work. Each of these shelters includes folding bunk beds, a comfortable mattress. They include shelves for storage, openable windows for ventilation, heat, air conditioning for personal climate control, and then we have a long list of standard safety features. Each pallet shelter can be built in about 30 minutes each. We built this entire community behind me with 100 beds in just about a week. And that's in large part due to the work that the Corps has done here. That's really important because homelessness in America right now is a national emergency with more than 500,000 people experiencing homelessness.
It feels good to be a part of something that's going to help out more people.
Es algo bonito ayudar a las personas que pues, no tienen un hogar y también es algo productivo en vez de estar solo en la casa sentado.
It feels great to be a part of this solution because I know like we're helping others.
Yay, and congratulations to the 3 California Corps and their Project of the Year. Stay tuned and we'll learn a little bit more about 2 Projects of the Year later on in the program. Now, you all know it wouldn't be a Core Network conference if there weren't a few prizes. So there's several ways that you can win prizes and gift cards at this year's event. The first is by engaging with the conference platform sponsors and fellow attendees. Click the leaderboard tab at the top of the conference page to see how to earn points and where you sit in the standings. Don't let Leslie beat you. She had a head start earlier this morning. And at Wednesday's closing plenary, we'll announce 2 winners, 1 core member attendee and 1 standard attendee. And just to give you an inside scoop, Core Network staff are not eligible to win. So you're safe there. The second way is by joining for the afternoon's welcoming networking reception. We'll select a few attendees at random to receive the prize. And next, let's talk about some social media. And our last contest will be about our social media. The opening video that you just watched is now posted on the Core Network's Facebook page, Twitter, and Instagrams. So you can find us at the Core Network on all 3 platforms. On one of those platforms, go to the video post, leave comments, and your comments must use #CivilianClimateCorps, and you must tag a friend in order to win. You need to be on the following at the Core Network on the platform where you leave your comments. That's it. It's that simple. What's the prize? A $75 Amazon gift card. And keep in mind, Core Network staff, they're not eligible to win. We'll choose the winner at random of everyone who attends the networking session later on this afternoon, and we'll make that announcement on Wednesday. All right, let's give out some more and look at some more awards. Every year, we honor a group of exceptional young adults with our Core Member of the Year awards. The Core Members of the Year are role models. Their personal stories and accomplishments are an inspiration to the entire Core movement. They are representing 1,000 young people, over 1,000, thousands of young adults and that choose to pursue a core term of service to better themselves, to better their communities, or even seek out a new adventure for themselves. The 2022 Core Members of the Year represent the next generation of community leaders. Having gone above and beyond in their service, it's obvious that these Core members are already doing big things in their lives. So keep an eye out for them. I'm sure we'll see them later on in their future. Please join me in congratulating our 4 core members of the year are Marta Alva Velasquez, Aaron Connor, Kaylin Anderson, and Brianna Free. Yay! I hear that virtual clap going on out there. Over the course of the conference, we will be hearing from each of the core members of the year. And right now, to start off, we're going to hear from our first core member of the year, and I'd like to introduce her to you as Marta Alva Velasquez. Marta grew up in Guatemala and moved to the United States when she was 16 years of age. In 2018, she joined Civic Corps for an opportunity to earn her high school diploma. Since enrolling, she earned her diploma in 2020, took her first college course in 2021, completed Civic Corps' Competitive Conservation Crew Leadership Academy, all in the same few months. She is viewed as a go-to member of many of the projects because of her growing set of skills in the industry, and her positive outlook always fosters harmonious crew dynamic. For her speech, Marta has selected to give her first part of her speech in Spanish, and then she's going to be the translator in English. So, without further ado, here is Marta.
Mi nombre es Marta Grisel de Alba Velázquez, tengo 22 años y soy originaria de Guatemala. Yo vine a los Estados Unidos cuando tenía 16 años. Yo vine aquí porque quería tener un mejor futuro. Cuando vine me inscribí a la high school en el grado 9, pero notaron que yo estaba más avanzada. Entonces la directora me preguntó si yo había estudiado en Guatemala. Como sí estudié, me pasaron del grado 9 para el 11. Y luego cuando yo estaba en el grado 12, me puse a conseguir un trabajo para poder ayudar a mi mamá. Mi primer trabajo fue un restaurante americano llamado Kent Fail Café, que está en la ciudad de Oakland. El nombre de este restaurante fue como una señal para mí, que no podía fallar y que iba a tener éxito. Yo solo trabajaba los fines de semana, pero luego mi jefe me dijo que si quería trabajar más días, pero no podía porque estaba estudiando. Luego le comenté a mi consejero de la escuela que yo ya no quería seguir estudiando porque quería seguir trabajando. Entonces ella me platicó sobre Civic Corps, donde podía estudiar y trabajar al mismo tiempo. Ella me ayudó a aplicar y así empezó mi experiencia en Civic Corps. Vine a la orientación por una semana y empecé como estudiante de grado 12. Después que alcancé los requerimientos, fui elegible para trabajar en Job Training Center como core member. Después de un año apliqué para Crew Leader. Siendo Crew Leader, trabajé en algunos proyectos inspiracionales como Snowy Plover Habitat Restoration and East Bay Regional Park District, The Pollock Partnership, Cosas Pequeñas Project y la Alameda Whip Snake Project. También logré obtener certificados como por ejemplo Chainsaw, Brush Cutter y Chipper. Yo disfruto estar en la naturaleza, trabajar al aire libre y cuidar el medio ambiente. Por eso me gustaría ser Park Ranger en un futuro. Como mi primer paso a mi meta, yo planeo estudiar ciencias del medio ambiente en la universidad y aplicar para trabajar con East Bay Regional Park District. En mi punto de vista, yo pienso que The Corps podría ayudar más a la comunidad inmigrante, como aceptar que trabajen y estudien como los ciudadanos. Me gustaría ver The Corp alrededor de los Estados Unidos, hacer más conexión con todas las comunidades inmigrantes para hacer organizaciones más incluidas. Para alguien que se pregunta cómo cumplir sus metas, mi consejo es empezar a creer que lo puedes lograr. Yo pienso que en estos tiempos las personas se preocupan por lo que otras personas dicen y se olvidan de ser ellos mismos. Al principio nunca me imaginé lo que iba a lograr y lo que logré hasta ahora estando en Civic Corp. Porque para mí ser Park Ranger es un desafío, pero si no creo y pongo empeño de mí misma, creo que no lo voy a poder lograr. Pero con mi experiencia en Civic Corp, pienso que no es tan difícil como pensé. Si uno cree en uno mismo, puede lograr hasta lo imposible. My name is Marta Grisel de Alba Velázquez. I'm 22 years old and I'm originally from Guatemala. I came to the United States when I was 16 years old. I came here because I wanted to have a better future. When I came, I enrolled in high school in 9th grade, but they noticed that I was further along. The director asked me if I had studied in Guatemala. Since I had studied, they passed me from grade 9 to 11. And then when I was 4th grade, I got a job to help my mom. My first job was in an American restaurant called Kent Fair Cafe, which is in the city of Auckland. The name of this restaurant was like a sign to me that I couldn't fail and I was going to succeed. I only worked weekends, but then my boss asked me to work more days, but I couldn't because I was studying. When I told my counselor that I no longer wanted to continue studying because I needed to work, she told me about Civic Corp, where I could study and work at the same time. She helped me apply, and that's how my experience began at Civic Corp. I came to the orientation for a week and started as a 12th grade student. Soon after meeting the requirements, I was eligible to go to work at the JTC. I started as a core member. After a year, I applied for crew leader. Some inspiring projects I have been involved in are snowy plover habitat restoration with East Bay Regional Parks, the Pollen Partnership, Tiny Homes, and the Alameda Whip Snake Project. I also have certification in first aid CPR and power tools such as chainsaw, brush cutter, and chipper. Because I enjoy being in nature, working outdoors, and taking care of the environment, I realized I would like to become a park ranger in the future. As my first step toward my goal, I plan to study environmental science in college, then get a job with East Bay Regional Park District. From my point of view, I think the Corps could help the immigrant community more, such as recruiting them to work and study just as citizens are able to do. I would like to see the Corps around the United States, make more connection with the immigrant community to be more inclusive organizations. To anyone who wonders how to accomplish your goals, my advice is start by believing that you can do it. I think that in these times people worry about what others say and they forget to be themselves. At the beginning, I never imagined that I was going to achieve or what I have achieved so far being a Civic Corp. My wanting to be a park ranger is a challenge, but if I don't believe in myself and put effort into it, I won't be able to achieve it. With my experience in civic corps is not as difficult as I thought. If you believe in yourself, you can achieve the impossible.
Yes. Thank you, Marta. That was great. Believe in yourself and believe what you can do. Thank you, Marta, and congratulations again on being one of the Core Network's Core Members of the Year. Okay, guys, let's get this party started, rocking and rolling a little bit more. Pull out your cell phones, and I want you to take a selfie, whether you're at home, like Jeff Parker in your garage, or whether in your office. Pull out your cell phone, take a selfie, and I want you to upload it to Core Network, to the Twitter, our Twitter feed, our Facebook page, Instagram, so folks will know who we are, that we are the CCC. Okay? So I think my executive producer and director is going to come in, Bobby, and we're going to do a selfie together. I think he's going to run in as soon as he gets here. Post them also on the platform. There's a place on our conference platform to post a picture. Put your pictures there. Put them on Twitter. Put them on Instagram. You know where to place them, and you know where to put those pictures. So get those pictures rolling in as soon as possible. And who knows where those pictures may end up. Trust me, it'll be a safe space. Anyway, we're getting ready to do, here's Bobby.
Time for a selfie.
Time for a selfie.
Okay, I can do you a selfie.
Do me a selfie. That's what I always used to say to him. All right, here we go, Bobby. Okay.
All right.
Now,
I'll see you all on Instagram.
All right. Thank you all. All right, next up is another one of our projects of the year. And I'd like to congratulate American Youth Works, Austin Civilian Climate Corps. The Austin Civilian Climate Corps, or the ACCC, was developed to address rising unemployment in the city of Austin, Texas. This was as a result of COVID-19 pandemic and the loss of jobs. The program was collaborated on by 8 City of Austin departments and 9 community organizations. The vision was to employ local Austin community members and offer a variety of programs to suit individuals looking for different types of work. During its first year, the ACCC deployed 2 crews comprised of 15 members total. The Corps members received housing resources, food, and medical expenses, and earned a living wage of $15 to $17 per hour. Way to go. Their projects were solely located in the Austin area, where the local Corps members developed a deeper connection with the impact of their work. Let's hear a little bit more about Austin CCC.
I didn't have an idea of what I wanted to do. I do know that I like the outdoors, and I like to give back to my community, and that I like to work with my hands. So that's why this was perfect.
The Austin Civilian Conservation Corps started towards the beginning of the summer of 2020. The City Council, particularly with the leadership of Mayor Pro Tem Allison Alter, wanted to create an economic development plan for the residents of the City of Austin. One of their options was to create a civilian conservation corps that focused on different aspects of jobs training programs through partnering with local nonprofits. So the economic benefits of the ACCC program is that it provides individuals with an opportunity to change careers and really be engaged in something that they may not be able to get training in. So this could be construction, but particularly for our organization, it's conservation work. This program is unique because it pays a living wage of $15 an hour. And while they're earning that, they are gaining skills in the natural resources and conservation field. Members of the Austin Civilian Conservation Corps are exposed to different city departments and personnel within the city to build up their networks.
It's now preferred qualification on a lot of Austin city jobs to have done ACCC. It's really, really nice knowing that even if I didn't want to continue in this line of work, that's a safety net, a really big one.
So our partnership with the City of Austin was very, very valuable, and that had been established with our conservation work in the past. But this was a unique opportunity for us as an organization to really create this program alongside of the City of Austin. The program is still continuing on. Right now we have 3 crews that are working in the greater Austin area. The first crew is our wildfire mitigation crew. We also have 2 other crews. They are focusing on the Parks Preserve system of the City of Austin, as well as the Eastern Crescent area, which has been historically underserved and underutilized.
We did some herbicide training at a park called Kendra Park. The person that gave us the project was talking about how it had changed so much over the years because of invasive species, and I told her a story where when I first immigrated to the United States, my mom used to take us to that park and we'd walk and we'd find prickly pears, and we'd even get like the nopales and to eat and stuff. After going back to the area now, there was none of that. I don't know, it was just so amazing. I was like, wow, I'm gonna get to be a part of bringing back all those species to my community, like exactly where I grew up in, and I got so much out of this place. Now I'm gonna get to give back.
The way that our work is structured, working in crews like this, it changes your mindset. It forces you to think about how you can help the people around you and helps you to understand that that is also helping yourself.
I would love to get more people who were maybe in my position where they dropped out of college or they didn't know what they were doing, and this is such an amazing opportunity to network and to open your mind up to other things maybe that you didn't know you could do. And so yeah, I love this job. It's great.
Congratulations again to the Austin CCC on a job well done, and congratulations, as I said, being one of the Core Network's projects of the year. Okay, so we're a ways into this now, and my director tells me that he wants us to make sure that we're all paying attention. So I want to know if you can hear me. Minimize the email window that you've been working on. Take a break from scrolling through Instagram or Twitter or Facebook. Come back from the kitchen with your snack. And now that I have your full attention, let's get ready for the roll call. Want to see how many cores are out there. Some of you already see. I know we've got some guests that have joined us. Crystal, salute to you. Glad to see that you're with us on today. I think I've seen Mike Muckle. I've seen the Thursday night crew. Love you girls. I've seen, let's see who else, Debbie and Lori, the folks on the West Coast. I know it's kind of early. It's even earlier for Beth up in Anchorage, Alaska. And how could we forget our friends out in Kupu? Aloha. We're glad that you all are here. And although we can't do our physical shout out and roll call like we used to do when we were in person, please list in the chat box to your right. Please list out your core, your name, all that great kind of information to let us know that you're out there and that you're here with us for the next few days. Thank you, guys. So now it's come a time for us to get just a little bit serious. Not that she's the most serious person, but this is a serious time. And I want to bring and to introduce to you our CEO, who has been working tirelessly on helping to launch the CCC, helping to navigate and move through all of these uncharted territories and waters that we have gone through over the past 2.5 years. It's been an honor and a privilege and an opportunity that I don't take too lightly. And I think I can also speak for the rest of the staff that we have a great leader in Mary Ellen Sprinkle, and you have a great leader leading the Core Networks charge. So now I introduce, and here comes Mary Ellen Sprinkle with the State of the Network address.
Welcome to the Core Network's 37th Annual Conference. As I'm sure you've noticed, we are virtual again this year. And while we do miss the opportunity to be together in the same space, and it was great to see many of you in person at our Climate Action Summit a couple of weeks ago, the virtual venue allows us to engage many more participants, including a significant number of core staff and core members. Last year, we had almost 1,000 people register for our virtual conference. We hope to top that number this week. The theme for this year's conference is We Are the Civilian Climate Corps, a CCC for a New Generation. This theme is particularly relevant as Congress and the administration and communities across the country are looking at service and conservation corps as a way to address a number of challenges facing the nation. The past 2 years have been difficult. There is no question about that. We've lived through a global pandemic, an economic downturn, and a major shift in the workforce. There is an elevated sense of awareness and an urgency to address racial injustice. There are increased ideological differences that are dividing the country at every level. But there has also been an increased interest in service and conservation corps as a means to respond to some of these challenges. Congress, the administration, and communities across the country are seeing corps as a way to bridge divides and bring people from different backgrounds together around common goals, as a way to make communities more resilient to the impacts of climate change, and as a way to re-engage and prepare a generation of workers for a clean and sustainable economy. The momentum for a modern-day CCC is growing. Within 1 week of taking office, President Biden signed an executive order on tackling the climate crisis that called for creating a CCC to, quote, mobilize the next generation of conservation and resilience workers and maximize the creation of accessible training opportunities and good jobs. Since then, more than a dozen bills have been introduced in Congress to invest in a climate corps. The CCC was included in President Biden's domestic policy agenda, the Build Back Better Act, and most recently, his fiscal year 23 budget request. And I'm proud to say that the Core Network has been there every step of the way. We've provided advice, information, and in some cases, bill language to ensure that a new civilian climate corps not only produces impactful results for participants and project sponsors, but is implemented in a way that provides access and opportunities to all young people and all communities. The concept for a civilian climate corps comes from the Civilian Conservation Corps of the 1930s. The original CCC was created by President Roosevelt during the Great Depression to provide hope and income to millions of families facing homelessness and poverty. The program accomplished a great deal. The members of the original CCC built hundreds of roads, bridges, dams, and parks we still use today. But it did have its flaws. Specifically, it was an opportunity available primarily to white men. We at the Core Network have been advocating that the new CCC be based on the following principles: that it targets recruitment and enrollment efforts in low-income and environmental justice communities, with an emphasis on engaging young people of color and other underrepresented and underserved populations; that it adequately supports Core members with opportunities to advance their education, attain workforce readiness skills, gain work experience, and receive support services; A climate corps should also provide a $15 an hour minimum wage or stipend. It should also engage a wide range of federal, state, and local land and resource management and community development agencies to ensure CCC projects occur in all communities, particularly those that have experienced underinvestment and environmental injustice. It must facilitate alignment and partnerships with strategic industry partners, unions, apprenticeships, community colleges, and other post-secondary education programs. And we believe that a 21st century CCC should be built on the strong foundation of existing service and conservation corps, your programs. Many of you have been operating corps in communities and on public lands for decades. You know what works as well as what doesn't. In fact, the principles I just described are based on the lessons learned from all of you. And we are by no means done. Although the Build Back Better Act is currently stalled in the Senate, we remain hopeful that some version of a reconciliation package, including a new CCC, will pass and be signed into law before the end of the year. Further, we are working with our federal partners to identify existing funding opportunities to support and grow the work that you do every day. Just 2 weeks ago, here in Washington, D.C., the Corps Network convened nearly 70 Corps directors and staff and dozens of partners from 7 different federal departments, including AmeriCorps and the Departments of Agriculture, Interior, Labor, and Transportation, to develop a strategy to fund and grow the Corps movement. And really, this growth is already happening. Over the past year, several states like California and Colorado, and a number of communities, such as Boston and Buffalo, have established or started to establish their own climate corps. In 2021, 11 new corps joined our membership, and we expect to add a similar number in 2022. And Corps members are going back into the field in growing numbers. In 2021, you collectively engaged more than 20,000 diverse Corps members and accomplished a significant amount of work in communities and on public lands across the country. Approximately 45% of last year's cohort of Corps members identified as female, and over 40% identified as persons of color. And collectively, you restored more than 640,000 acres of habitat, planted more than 240,000 trees, weatherized nearly 2,000 homes, responded to 600 disasters, and much, much more. And Corps members collectively earned nearly 10,000 industry-recognized credentials. Here at the Corps Network, we have been hard at work trying to support your efforts to engage more young people, complete more project work, and produce even better outcomes for your Corps members. Our AmeriCorps grants, EAP, and OYSI provide opportunities for thousands of Corps members to serve and in many cases obtain critical hands-on work experience. The Gulf Corps program was awarded a second grant of nearly $12 million over the next 4 years to train local youth to do the habitat restoration work necessitated by the BP oil spill. A new grant from the William Penn Foundation is supporting the development or expansion of corps in the Delaware River Basin. Our agreements with the National Park Service, the Fish and Wildlife Service, and the Forest Service have enabled dozens of corps to do projects in partnership with those agencies. Our grant from the JPB Foundation supports a growing and increasingly productive training and technical assistance team. We've added additional staff to support membership and workforce development, and the accreditation program, after a pause due to COVID-19, is back in operation. The Moving Forward initiative, which represents our commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion, and access, continues to grow and be embedded in all we do at TCN. In 2021, we rolled out a new aspect of that initiative, Corps Member Liberation and Leadership, designed to help Corps members of color identify and address negative messages they have absorbed that may be preventing them from reaching their full potential. And just recently, due to the generosity of one of our board members, TCN was able to launch the Patricia Sagawa Corps Member Relief Fund, which is designed to provide short-term assistance to Corps members who are at risk of not completing their terms of service due to unexpected financial constraints. And I'm excited to report that TCN, along with the Board of Directors and Core Council, has recently embarked on a strategic planning process to identify our goals for TCN and for the field over the next 3 to 5 years. I hope you will participate in this process. Share with us your hopes and dreams for your own programs, as well as your barriers and challenges. And I would be remiss if I did not take a moment to brag on TCN to say that we have already met or exceeded all but one of the goals of our existing strategic plan. All of these programs, services, and successes are made possible by an incredibly talented and committed staff. I'm sorry that you can't meet these exceptional individuals in person this year, but I urge you to get to know them through the many informational, inspiring, and fun plenaries, workshops, and activities we have planned for you over the next 3 days. Learn from each other and from our projects of the year. Be inspired by our core members of the year. Get to know and thank our wonderful conference sponsors. Ask your questions, express your ideas and opinions, and share your thoughts on what a new CCC should look like. And let us know how we can better serve you, the core directors, staff, core members, and partners who do and support this incredibly important work every day. I am so pleased you are here with us today and for the next 2 days. We really have a great program put together and a lot to cover in a short period of time. So I will stop talking and let us get to work. But know that the state of the core network and the state of the field of service and conservation corps is strong and growing. Thank you and enjoy the conference.
Thank you, Mary Ellen. And we are all the better to have a leader like you leading this charge. So again, thank you. It's now time for another project of the year. It's our final project of the year, and it selected was the Conservation Corps of the Forgotten and Emerald Coast Oyster Corps. It's a mouthful. It's a whole lot to say. But anyway, launched in 2020, Oyster Corps is a training academy within the Conservation Corps of the Forgotten and Emerald Coast. The project seeks to restore oyster habitats, strengthen coastal resilience in the face of climate change, and drive economic diversification through aquaculture. The oyster plays a crucial role in filtering water and providing habitat for other species along the coast and around the world. In order to restore this keystone species habitat, this program recycles oyster shells to use them as a substrate for oyster larvae to grow. Corps members in the Oyster Corps are local, and they must live in the Florida Panhandle and be opportunity youth between the ages of 17 through 25, or a veteran up to age 29. To date, over 40 Oyster Corps members have received training in constructive living shorelines and oyster reefs, collected over 18,000 tons of oyster shells, and planted 24,000 native trees. Let's learn a little bit more about Oyster Corps.
Oysters are the heart of estuaries.
We started the program in April of last year, and we started out with 5 restaurants doing some bucket runs on Tuesdays and Fridays, and it has really came a long way since last April. We've integrated with Spartina and grass planting, along with building oyster pillows and oyster prisms. So it really has came a long way.
Oyster Corps is a training academy focused on oyster habitat restoration, strengthening coastal resilience, and economic diversification through aquaculture.
Going back to the value of oysters and why they're important, because there is ecological benefits, there is economic benefits, there are culture benefits. I mean, a lot of folks from this area, that was their livelihood, growing up here and working on the water. And since the decline, the area was declared a national fisheries disaster in 2012. We've had to look at other efforts, to help bring this wild population back. And that's where aquaculture came into the picture, was, while the bay is closed over this 5-year period, is to look at other methods to, continue to grow oysters because they are so important. And I always come back to the one healthy adult oyster can filter 50 gallons of water. That's so valuable to have them out there. And the aquaculture leases as well, you still have oysters in that habitat. And then of course the wild oysters provide, well, both of them, habitat, food for other species, and keeping our estuaries healthy, because oysters are indicator species. So that helps us know what our water quality is doing and what the health of the estuary system is.
What's so important about Oyster Corps is that it's not only benefiting the environment in terms of water quality and habitat, but it's also impacting the community in terms of the people. So the Gulf Corps is focused on opportunity youth that may not have a lot of opportunities in their life, and this is a program that allows them to get access to training and real-world experience and find out what their passion is, whether it's interviewing people or it's doing restoration efforts. It really, at least in my opinion, it gives a chance they may not have had otherwise.
Oyster Corps is a good opportunity for people who come up from rural or less fortunate neighborhoods and communities where there's not a lot of opportunities to succeed in life. And it takes kids and brings them out and teaches them about protecting the environment and saving some of the stuff that we love in our communities.
Oysters are just really special species.
Congratulations to Oyster Corps and the Corps of the Forgotten and Emerald Coast down in Florida. Now it is keynote speaker time. And rather than stand up here and read his bio and tell you all the great, wonderful things about our keynote speaker, that he's the president and CEO of Living Cities, that he worked for the Kellogg Foundation, that he was at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, that he was the staff attorney at the Youth Law Center in Washington. Rather than tell you all that, I want to tell you about our friend Joe Scantlebury. When Joe was on the board of directors of the Core Network, when the Core Network changed from NAST to the Core Network and changed its board design and board structure. And Joe was one of the first board members to come on to the Core Network's board. Joe has always been a friend of the Core Network. He has always been someone who has been a mentor to me and making sure that he schools us all in the right direction. And he has always been an advocate for the young people. So you are in for a treat this afternoon to hear the keynote plenary speaker, the first for our conference on this week, Mr. Joe Scantlebury. Joe?
Wow, Marie, no pressure.
No pressure.
No pressure. And of all of you who know Marie, nobody schools Marie. Nobody schools Marie. Anyway, let me just say, first of all, I'm honored to be your keynote today. I'm trying to make sure I get my head right in this little green screen here. I'm honored to be with you, and I want to extend my greetings and thanks to Board Chair Crandall, Vice Chair Davison, the entire board. Bruce, I see you still on the board. Monique Miles, excellent, great to see you there. And I want to thank Marie, Capri, and Mary Ellen for getting me ready. And I have to say, it's been a minute since I really focused on all the work of the Core Network. As a board member, when I joined, and Marie, you took me back just now. the question was, how would the core network actually operate in partnership with all of the cores? That was an existential moment. We didn't exactly know what that would look like. And as I've been listening and watching the chat, I'm in love again with the core network. And I have to tell you, seeing the great work of the cores, oh my goodness, I'm moved, I have to tell you. And I just want to say specifically to Marta Velázquez, siempre adelante, hermana. Nunca para, nunca para. I look forward to seeing you as a park ranger. Anyway, I've got a lot I want to share, but I guess I want to start from this place of transition. Once again, the core network is in this place of transition. And it's a place in which you find yourselves telling the world, hey, not only are we here and doing this work, despite all of the tensions and partisan debates, we continue to build this country. From oyster beds to fire abatement. Go ahead, Austin. All of this good work is being done day in, day out. And it's being done with young people, and it's being done with adults who understand the potential of young people. Yes, sometimes we use language like underrepresented and disadvantaged and all of that. But what I love is the use of the term opportunity youth, because at the end of the day, it's not a question of whether or not you're going to make it. It's a question of what opportunity do you need to build on the assets that you already have in order to make it. And so I want to talk to young people in particular today. I'm the head of an organization now, and I have to say I've only been in this job for 8 months. So if if I say something that gets me out of a job, I know where to come looking. Please keep my resume in mind. I'm the CEO of an organization called Living Cities. And it's an organization that's been around for 30 years, not the 90 of the Civilian Conservation Corps, but 30 years. And Living Cities really is a membership organization of philanthropy and financial institutions. And we come together to harness the power of those institutions and local governments in order to close racial income and wealth gaps in American cities. Our vision and our belief, and I think yours as well, is that all people in the United States are economically secure, can be economically secure, can build wealth, can live abundant, dignified, and connected lives. I think that's, when I think about the core and its promise, that's what I think about. And I understand all too well, and I think many of you do too, that when the core was first formed, Mary Ellen spoke about it. It fit right into Jim Crow America. It had a public mission, a public vision, and yet it found itself separating itself and continuing the separation of people with public dollars. And that's been our legacy in history. So today, as we talk about resiliency in our country and we talk about facing climate change, I want to talk to you about one component of resiliency that can't be ignored: racial equity. And I think for young people in particular, the thing that I want to celebrate, and many of you were probably part of this, is that many of you have said, basta, enough, enough. Enough of extrajudicial killings, enough of children in cages, enough accepting poverty, enough accepting the destruction of the environment, enough of denying climate change, enough political division, which is simply a mask for racism and fear. Enough. I want to talk to you about how we begin to mitigate the effects of climate change in our cities and communities by facing racial equity, to ensure that investments that we're making, both in our time, our treasure, our talent, our social good, our political will, that they benefit everyone in an equitable way. If we don't do this, we will not be the country we intend to be and the country that all of you are working to build. We know that people of color in general and many working families continue to face ongoing barriers to improve health, secure income, build wealth, and safeguard themselves and their families. According to the Federal Reserve, white families have about 8 times the median wealth of black families and about 5 times the wealth of Hispanic Latino families. Gaps in income are similar, with white families having $30,000 more average income than black families and $20,000 more than Hispanic families. These facts can be discouraging, but there is an underutilized tool for accelerating racial and economic equity today. City government and the energy and the resolve of young people, all the young people on this call today. Cities of all sizes, dimensions, and diversities are the economic engine for modeling racially equitable economic opportunity. Many cities in the United States have either a majority or a significant population of residents of color. Population trend projections portend this to be the future of our increasingly diverse country. Some say that by 2040, we will be a nation that is no longer majority white, but rather a multi-ethnic plurality, not majority black, not majority Latino, very mixed. Population trends portend this is our future. But demographics are not destiny. Just because we become a multicultural, multi-ethnic society doesn't necessarily mean that we will see equity and inclusive opportunity and prosperity for all. Today's philanthropic, corporate, financial institutions will need to invest in civic and local leaders like all of you, convene stakeholders like all of you, and share knowledge developed from all sectors to assist leaders in government, business, and communities to reimagine cities to ensure that all have the opportunity to thrive in abundance. You just shared the clip about the oyster core. What I thought was beautiful about that was that is not only climate change, it's also recreating an industry, a fishing industry. I happen to be a fly fisherman. I love fishing, but I also recognize all the various ways in which the environment has been so damaged that you couldn't even enjoy the life that's there. The oyster core, like many of the cores, represents the hard work that creates the pearl of opportunity. We didn't mention pearls, but I'm going to put that on there. Living Cities is a 30-year convener of philanthropy and financial institutions in service of helping cities prosper. These experiences have shown us 3 concrete and immediate first steps to reimagine and recreate cities to fulfill their racial equity commitments and help all their residents. First, we have to invest in racial equity trainings to create enabling environments for policy and practice changes. I know from the work that Capri shared with me about the diversity, inclusion, and equity work that you all are doing, that you're doing some of this work, in particular, the kind of work that enables people of color to face the ways that racism have impacted how we show up. We have learned from our work at Living Cities that elevating awareness of past wrongs and persistent barriers to racial equity requires sustained intentionality, support, and commitment. Cities in our network reflect on the historical decisions made by those who came before us that result in current racial disparities. A legacy which millions of Americans declared that they do not want to pass on to their children. These millions were marching in the streets. Some of you were probably there. We all witnessed George Floyd, and I think for many in America, the stories that they had been told about extrajudicial killings of Black people, and Black men in particular, and Latino men, became real. They were no longer my exaggeration. They became real. We believe that cities are the template for innovation and demonstrated progress in racial equity. We learned that many cities desire the outcome but have a need for conscientious support for the journey. This journey includes intentionally flexible funding, continued leadership development, and visionary optimism. When I think about the core network, I think about visionary optimism. I think about when the core network was first being introduced, former Senator John McCain speaking on behalf of the core network, speaking on behalf of the potential of the network. And for some of you who are saying, why is he quoting a Republican? Because that Republican believed in all of you. He believed beyond party, beyond narrow definitions, that young people and the work of young people in building America was critical. I think you still do. We also learned in Living Cities that thinking differently about how capital investments flow in a city. Now, I'm talking about capital. Very often, we don't bring this kind of conversation when we're talking about jobs and job creation, but America is a country that runs on capital. And despite common tropes and contrary narratives, our country's racial income and wealth gaps exist because of a systemic exclusion of people of color from owning the economic engine of growth in this country. This pattern of exclusion was forged in practice and in violence. Think Tulsa, think Greenwood, Mississippi, think Mount Bayou, Mississippi, think Rosewood. Think all the Chinatowns that existed across the country that were destroyed. In addition, institutionalized separation and segregation by policy and in law maintained the exclusion. As our nation diversifies ethnically and racially, we know that such a legacy will have increasingly diminishing returns. In other words, the separation and all of the systemic ways that we've excluded people of color from participating in capital and investing and owning and building, all that has to end. With the support of our members, we've piloted and demonstrated through 2 investment funds that diversifying capital investment through fund managers of color could lead to the expansion of business opportunities in communities of color, creating the opportunity for opportunity youth by investment intentionally in people of color. We've also seen cities themselves recreate their economic engines and make growth more inclusive and open to fair procurement competition rather than exclusive and captured by special and advantaged interests. Cities have massive procurement contracts, which can be directed towards small businesses owned by people of color who are artificially excluded from such growth opportunities. They can also understand the needs of all entrepreneurs and remove barriers to their success, like offering language services for permitting processes for those who don't speak English. More importantly, they can examine whether or not their processes and practices actually enable businesses and opportunities. Lastly, connect with others to learn what racial equity takes. The beautiful thing about the core network is all 140 sites, 20,000 members are everywhere. I think for a city person, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, you tend to think of that civilian, the core is out there somewhere in the hinterlands. We don't think of it being in Austin or Minneapolis or Detroit or DC or New Jersey. Cores are everywhere. We need to learn from each other. So at Living Cities, we convene multi-sector leaders within cities and help them share their insights and learnings with others. We help them strive to meet their city's racial equity commitments, explicit or otherwise. Among our network of 30 cities include 6 cities that have gone deep: Albuquerque, New Mexico, Austin, Texas, Memphis, Tennessee, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Rochester. These are cities that said, hey, we want to do more than just talk about addressing inequities. We want to figure out what we can do together and learn from each other and learn and share our learnings. As I conclude, I hear the challenge that the core network is taking on, and I'm grateful that you have the vision to build the climate and to do the work necessary to preserve a climate for all of us. What I share with you as the president and CEO of Living Cities is the partnership that you're not alone. You're not alone. And though you are many and mighty, there are others waiting to partner with you. And for the young people who hear me speaking today and saying, who is this old guy just droning on and on and on? Okay. Just know that I'm looking for you to be the future we need. I and others are counting on you to take everything you can from the experience of being a member of the Corps and working with your Corps leaders and all the insights that you bring and all the heart that you bring, and help us create the America we deserve. Thank you.
Wow. Whew. Thank you, Joe. And to coin a popular phrase from 2020, Joe knows, we know Joe, but more importantly, Joe knows us. We thank you, Joe, for those inspiring words. Thank you. And don't go far. We got a seat at the table for you. So thank you, Joe. Okay, so we're off to a great start. It's almost time to go into our workshop block. So I want you to know that if you have any questions concerning the conference, contact us via the chat on the platform, or you can email us at conference@corenetwork.org, conference@corenetwork.org, or go to the help desk in the lobby, and folks can help you out there. I also want to encourage you to go to the exhibit hall, where you can learn about our sponsors and chat with their staff. The conference is only possible due to the generosity of some of our sponsors. So take a moment to get to know them, go in and sit down and have a conversation with them. So I think we're ready. So grab your favorite before 4 o'clock drink, get your snacks, get ready to log in to your conference workshop block, and I will see you right here, same place, same time, tomorrow afternoon, coming to you, as I said, live from the TCN studios located in Washington, D.C. Have a great afternoon, and I'll see you tomorrow.